Just a quick disclosure to share in conjunction with this podcast. Each of us are speaking to our personal experiences and do not consider ourselves experts and cannot offer medical, therapy, financial, or legal advice. We represent a wide range of experience on the autism spectrum and will always honor each perspective that is brought to our discussions. Our experiences, opinions, and perspectives are all unique and different and will be celebrated. Thank you so much for listening and connecting with us. Thank you. Welcome to Navigating Adult Autism. We are just a bunch of moms with a lot of perspectives, a lot of opinions, and a lot of experience. And tonight, we are going to talk about what used to be called sheltered workshops. We have Valerie Gustin here with the Springfield workshop, which is SWI Industrial Solutions. That always sticks with me. So she is our guest tonight. But before we start, we do have some navigating news tonight. So we're going to get to that, our navigating news. And we are going to start with a sad announcement that a beloved teacher at Springfield Public Schools that was in the BASE program, which is the Business Assisted Student Education Program, which, like I said, is with Springfield Public Schools. It's the last 2 years of high school normally for students with disability, or even with students that are just not successful in high school and need another option. They don't necessarily have to have a diagnosis, or I don't even think an IEP, honestly. Could be wrong on that. But Patricia Grassa, went by Trish. She passed away on August 22nd, and my son had her, and she was probably one of the best teachers at the BASE program, and there's still a lot of great teachers there, but I just wanted to honor her by announcing that she had passed, and we were all very sad about that. Okay, the next one is October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and it's been around since 1945, correct, Dawn?
That's what I understand.
Yeah. So that's important. And let's see, what is our next one? Oh, we are also going to welcome Dawn to look forward in the future that Dawn Rethman is bringing back Autism Gossip.
Yay!
Yeah, and it might even be Autism Gossip, Here's the Scoop. We're just kind of working on it because Dawn used to do that years and years ago. It was just a bullet point of things that were going on in the autism community. So we are bringing that back as a podcast, and Dawn's going to be working on that, and it'll be on our website and probably on our Facebook page. So we're just going to bullet point a lot of important things in the autism world. So I think that's all our navigating news, correct? Did I miss anything? Okay, that's great. So we're going to move on to Val. I'm happy to have Valerie here, and I am going to say I am on the board at SWI, and it is a wonderful organization. And I'm going to preface this little story first before how I got involved in it, because I knew there was a sheltered workshop in Springfield. I was always told, and the rumor was it was for lower functioning individuals with disabilities. And I just never visited. As a mom with a disability, you're always busy. You're always trying to figure something out. And I never visited, I never went, but I met an individual who said I should get involved with it. And I went and visited and wanted to become more involved immediately. After going there, I learned so much, and I was so impressed with it. And I thought, how does the disability community not know about SWI? It is in Springfield. It's off East Bennett, and it's a wonderful place. It's kind of catty corner from Isabel's house. It's just a wonderful place to be, and in employment for individuals with disability. And it does have typical people there. There is inclusion there. And since I've been involved since 2016 or 2017, I can't remember, but we've had new programs that started there. So I was happy to join the board and help them out. And I love it there. I absolutely love it there. So I'm glad Val's here, and I've got to know a lot of the employees there, and the staff that are there are wonderful and dedicated. And I'm just going to say this, they do a lot of things behind the scenes that are not typically their job, to help a lot of people out. There was a recent story, we don't have to share it, but the one you shared at the last meeting was like, I think a lot of us teared up when you were telling that story. Yeah. But I am going to hand it over to Val real quick, and we're going to shoot questions at you, Val, so you'll be fine. But just tell us like who you are, what you do there, and then we'll just start questioning about, I think where we should maybe start is how people get into that, how they are referred to you through the workshop. But first, just start who you are and what you do there and all that.
My name is Valerie Gustin. I'm the Director of Services at SWI Industrial Solutions and the Director of Choices, another program that we have offering inclusive employment for people with disabilities.
Okay, good.
How long have you been there?
10 years in February. Before that, I worked for the Arc of the Ozarks for 10 years as a program supervisor in Bolivar. And in Bolivar, we had a little of everything. We had traditional group homes. We had ISL, supported living. We had community integration. We had supported employment. We had day program. I think that was everything. So, a little mini version of everything they do in Speed. We didn't have the rec that they have in Springfield.
So how do individuals get referred to the workshop? I mean, I know how they get referred or how they should be, but what's the most common way they get referred to you and find out about the workshop?
I think usually they learn through high school. I know we have a transition program. We don't have a base program anymore. With WIOA, legislation that I'm sure you're all familiar with because you have kids that are with disabilities and you're dealing in the world we live in. When WIOA came in, it was because back in the day...
And what does that stand for?
Something Initiative Opportunity Act, and I can't remember the W's for. And it went in, I'd say about 10 years ago. I was pretty new when it was updated and they put new legislation in and said that no one could work at a workshop until they failed 3 times working in the community and were 25 years of age.
Okay.
Before then, we did have the high school a base program. So what we did was it was a loss for the kids that are graduating high school and a loss for those families that, what am I going to do now? I still got to go to work. My kid's not going to get a job. My kid's not going to go to traditional college. What they need somewhere to be. They need to learn to work. They need to learn to get along in the community. What's going to happen? So we have retired teachers who had been in the base program through a partnership with Springfield Public Schools. The wonderful Liz Adderhold, who'd been at SWI as a base teacher for years. Connie, her parent, who also works the program with us, and now we have a new teacher, Kim, coming on to be a teacher. So we've got a wonderful group of retired teachers that have worked in spec ed their whole career. So they're wonderful professionals. And so they bring, I think last year we had 8 students that came, and it's just a transition program. They're coming and doing their own thing, but they're getting used to the sound of a manufacturing location. And that's the thing. Back in the day, people were placed in workshops, and that's it, whether they wanted to be there or not. You want somewhere for your person to go, that's where they're going to go.
So no choice.
And that was wrong. It was horribly wrong. So WIOA had a lot of good aspects. People should get to decide where they're going to be. The person who's going to work there, not their team, not their family, not their friends. I choose my job, So, I mean, yes, with accommodations and supports, but the person who's going to be there should. So in high school, then they come in, they start a little bit junior year, but really they're senior years. And they come in and they do some class work, they do some kind of mock work and get the idea of what manufacturing is like, what you're doing all day. They navigate with a bunch of adults who also have disabilities in their everyday life at SWI. So they come and they eat in our cafeteria and they use the bathrooms and they hear the bells going off. We've had people who that's too much. It's not for them. They're, and you can't look at it. It's not failure. It's a lesson learned. That one's not for me. I move to the next thing. If I'm not doing well here, that's not my thing. Then we have other people who do fantastic there because they like that environment and they like the fact that they're with a bunch of people who are not very judgy because we've all got something going on.
That's right.
So they feel safe and comfortable and they get to the point where they're comfortable, and then their families, once they come and tour and they understand it better. We had a family this year, and he's a newer guy, and they have a language barrier. Dad's hard to understand when he came in, and I don't know how he's doing. No one's calling me. I don't know what's happening, and I'm like, well, he's at work. Well, it's his job. If he needs help with something, we'll call you. But So he was very nice, but he was still concerned. So we took him back. Well, he hadn't been into SWI, so he didn't understand that our floors, I mean, it's clean, it's nice. I can tell you all that Mary Snelson decorated SWI. It's beautiful. It doesn't look like a manufacturing environment.
We did do a little updates.
There's air conditioning, there's heating.
Well, you had that already. Yeah.
So it's lovely. So he went back and then he talked to his boss, and his son's boss. She was raving. Gosh, he's wonderful. He's doing great. And the dad just left was like, oh, I'm good. I'm so happy. I can't believe it. Like, because he couldn't imagine him being in a factory, producing. Well, we're a factory, but we're not. We do simple assembly and production, and we're professional, and we work, and we have people there who are much better at quality assurance than any one of us at this table because it's their thing. And we are grateful for those people, and they take lead, and they can stack a pallet better than I could ever hope to, and many of the other jobs we have. So
let's talk about a couple of the jobs
Sure.
you have, like McCormick.
Sure, we do work for McCormick, which is, so if you use those French fried onions at Thanksgiving, they probably came through our building.
And the green bean casserole, yes.
And what we do is, now we're not, they come from McCormick packaged. We don't do anything like that. What we're doing is building the displays for the stores and putting them in the displays. Or another thing we do for McCormick is Frank's hot sauce. It's not French's, sorry, Frank's hot sauce. Well, McCormick does them in like a case of 12, but Walmart likes them in a case of 5. So cost effective. It's not cost effective for them to do that for one customer, but it's cost effective for us to break them down, repackage, and put them, repalletize, and send them back. So that's a big job. We do that almost all year. And Frank's has lots of flavors, ladies, if you didn't know this. Probably 8 or 10 flavors of hot sauce
Yes,
you can
they
use.
do.
So we do that. We do some work for ROI, so in the hospital when you get the bucket with the toothpaste and the toothbrush, and we've currently gotten that job. And so we put it all together and seal it. We're doing another job for surgery. And so we have I want to describe it as, so it's easy to understand, like a lunch tray, and then each piece has to go on there. So then that's a belt job where Kara knows hers, Mary knows hers, I know. So we're all putting them, and then we seal those. And that's a sterile job. So, we have a separate area that we're doing that. We have our own, we always work for Airmark. We do hangers for them. So if you get your uniform on a hanger, you return the hangers, and then they come to us, and they're a hot mess. And so what we do then is organize those hangers, smalls, goods, bads, that sort of thing. And so it's very cost effective for them to have us do that job for them. And we have our own business called Sunny Bunny Easter Eggs, and that's a
booming business.
A booming business. We sold over 13 million eggs last year throughout the United States. We've sold to Canada, Hawaii, in the United
somewhere
States.
in Europe too. So
Yeah, I can't remember, and I can't remember last year who it was we did, but we broke a record last year.
And those are the plastic Easter eggs with the candy and the little toys inside
Either
of them.
candy or toys, and our molds we try and source locally as much as we can. Hopefully we all do in our businesses. So it is in Arkansas, though. That's where we were able to find someone close to us to do the injection molding. And so our eggs are special in that you can drop them from a helicopter and they won't open, but you just collect that, squeeze them, and they open. I wish I'd brought one. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that's
you just
okay.
squeeze them and then they open. So it's a kind of cool little product.
And we own that company.
We own that company. That's our company, and that was devised for our people with disabilities who can do a 1 to 2 step process. So if you can't do many things, you can do that. You might just be able to learn how to work on that job and graduate as well. It's not, and sometimes you need to sit for a while and do your job, or sometimes we all in our careers do this, you're having maybe, and you need to be there. And then we have other people who that's just their specialty and they're great at it, so that's that job. And that's,
Wasn't there a visually
52
impaired
weeks a year.
person there that does the eggs, or did I?
a what?
A visually impaired person that was
Oh yeah,
doing the
we've
eggs?
had visually impaired people do
Okay,
the eggs.
yeah.
Because we set up we do all sorts of accommodating work at SWI, whatever. If you want to work, I always say there's 4 things. You have to be able to be redirected. So if you're doing it wrong, you have to take the criticism of your supervisor saying, no, it's got to go that way, Kara. And if they have to do it 13 times, a day or whatever is needed. You have to be able to cope with that. You have to use the bathroom independently because we just don't have staff for that. At SWI, you're very independent. You can make your own food choices, and we don't administer, we're not med certified, so we don't administer meds. Someone could come and give them to you if they needed to, and we give prompts. Oh, you already had your lunch. Like we help you all day long,
Yes,
but
you
we
do.
just can't physically get in there when you're one staff member to 52 people. It's just not going to, you can't run to the bathroom with someone because then everybody else is left. So, yeah,
Right.
so really anything, we will find a way to help you do it. It's the want. You know, we have people who come and work at SWI and their family and their team, and everybody's all about it. What a great thing. It's the workshop. It's a wonderful place. They don't want to be there. And I believe strongly, and you guys all know, behaviors communication. No, I do not want to be here. And so if you don't want to be there, you don't want to be there. But if you want to be there, you'll cooperate and you'll figure it out, you know, and you'll, and the nice thing is you'll be working with your peers.
Right, right. And there's many different jobs there. Like the, well, let me jump back to the cafeteria. We had a new cafeteria put in because they were just eating from machines at one point.
Yeah, we had vending machines and the staff and the board members, and it started to notice that our employees were, well, it was just a proven fact they were spending their paycheck in the vending machines. And that's really not nutritional food. So we had this lovely group of the Springfield Workshop Foundation Board of Trustees, and with partnership through Associated Electric, who have done a golf tournament for us for this, the 25th year this year, worked hard to raise the funds to put in a cafeteria. So now we have a cook, and we have 2 different employees who work in the cafeteria, and one main, but others who help. And we provide, I always say it's like a grown-up school lunch, but I mean, our employees give the feedback. I want to have, can we have spicy Mexican rice? Okay. So we make that on the menu. Breakfast is a big favorite. Everybody loves breakfast for lunch. I don't know. It's a thing. I'm just, but we had someone come in, he wanted an ice cream bar. So we had an ice cream bar one day, Sunday bar. We've had crazy hot dog days. So we had like peanut butter and jelly hot dogs and chili dogs. So the employees, give feedback, but they like lunch. Our
That's
lunch,
also a social moment too.
it's a very social moment for all of us, everybody. And lunch is 75 cents a day. That doesn't pay for your meal.
Wow.
But
75 cents.
But a lot of our employees
Have limited
have
income.
very limited income, and their families have very limited income. Some of our employees that work with us have never had the benefit that your family members have as far as somebody understanding how to do things and to do for them and to advocate for it. So the whole family's kind of living there. And so they don't have the resources. So we always feel better that we know at least one day, 5 days a week, they're getting a really good solid meal. And if we know someone has food insecurity, my boss, our general manager, Dave Dunn's real big about, we send food home. We send food home with anybody who needs it. Or, you know, we
Yes,
keep
you do.
finding a way to do that. So we had a guy one time, he had been taken advantage of and had taken out payday loans for someone. And so he has no money. He's crying and he's not eating. He doesn't have enough money to eat, and he's diabetic. I'm like, well, that can't be, dude. So, so we're making extras and sending him home, 2 dinners every night as 2 extra lunches from, and then buying some extra things. And then he got over it. He got, if we get a garnishment, even if you're a person with a disability, if you get a garnishment, it has to be paid. That's the federal government. The state, the company can't avoid it.
Right.
So we found a different, we sneak another way. So we supported him by making sure he ate.
You guys go above and beyond with stuff like that. I remember I walked into a meeting one time and there was bags or backpacks all in the corner or something. And I'm, I think I probably had some of my decorating stuff back there too. And I said, what are all those bags? What's back there? And, oh, that's just food we're sending home with everybody. There's quite a number of people that don't have Thanksgiving.
Well, we
something.
worry
I'm like,
about
oh
long
my
weekends.
gosh.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Well,
Long
actually, a lot
weekends,
of our guys figure out Thanksgiving. That is something that's advertised pretty well around our community. But other long weekends, they don't always have stuff. So that's something we worry about. And we had someone who, they get kicked out. Rent is so expensive right now, and if they're not getting any assistance with that, we're finding ourselves doing housing assistance. We just had Jenny Heifel, who works for us, just graduated. She's now WIPC certified. So what that means is she can do benefits counseling. So if you're having problems with your Social Security and a lot of our guys won't get case management, even if they could. So if they need help with their benefits and figuring things out, or they're getting a letter and they don't understand it, I help them. But Jenny's now certified to do it too.
Right.
So.
And she can advocate for them.
I mean, that's wonderful because they don't understand.
Yeah, we had a guy who was getting too much. Social Security was paying him too much. Well, he's a man with mental illness. He has no support. He lives alone. He does the best he can. We all support him. And we don't look at his check. You know, we didn't know it goes into his bank and he's spending his money. So he's freaking out that he's getting these letters. He's got to pay it back. He's got to pay it back. So Ginny worked for, I think, 4 or 5 months and she got it waived. But it was we were very worried because he was someone who was never going to understand it. No matter how many times we explained it, he was not going to understand. So thankfully that's gone.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Some parents don't understand it.
Oh, exactly.
Well, they make everything complicated.
I know. The ticket to work. So my son JR, who worked for the workshop.
He's one of our success stories, JR.
For 5 years. That's right, Dawn, right? 5 years?
Yeah. So how we got involved with SWI. My son graduates from Willard High School. Being an active mom, yes, I know about VR. I've contacted them, have a case open, chose a provider to work with, but we drop off. I mean, I know why. We had a counselor who quit at our provider. And so, you know, the clock keeps ticking, and it's 6, 7, 8 months after high school graduation, and Mary goes, Dawn, you need to do something.
Kara too said, no volunteering. That's enough volunteering.
Yeah, was it 4 hours a week he was volunteering to get experience? I won't mention the provider, but it was 4 hours a week.
I don't remember.
A volunteer. And it was 4 hours a week.
It was something silly.
Yeah, yeah.
And they said, he's just not ready for employment. Oh my God.
And we met with the provider, and
he could be doing more. Which he did.
Yeah.
And then we also met with Voc Rehab, and we talked to him about the 20 because he was under 25 at the time.
Exactly.
So then it made all the paperwork. Do you want to explain that?
Sure.
How that works?
Sure. So if you're under 25 and you firmly believe it's your best option for you to work at SWI, you talk to VR about it, and they can waive you and give you a waiver so that you can work before you're 25. So how we then comply is twice a year we do trainings at SWI reminding you that you can work anywhere in the world and you are not stuck here. And you could do all these other things. You could work it's like a little video, and VR does it for us, the state of Missouri's VR. And they show like a 15-minute video, and the counselor talks and explains, and would you like more information about working elsewhere? Would you like more information about working elsewhere? I mean, we want you to anyway, so I mean, that's great. Like I always say, we're not worried about going out of business. There's more people with disabilities born every day. There's people out there who don't even know we exist that need a job, that need to learn how to work so that they can go out and be successful somewhere else. So we're not holding anybody back if they want to get another job. That we're all about the choices. So,
but it's required by VR.
It's required by VR. We do it annually for everyone. Annually, everyone has that training.
Okay.
And people under the age of 25 do it twice a year. Just make sure they're understanding. You could work somewhere else. If you want to work somewhere else, you can work somewhere else. We don't ever, and that's part of the WEOR process is they don't want anyone to think they're stuck working anywhere. They can go wherever they want. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, we taught our people to be quiet and stay out of trouble, and you know what I mean.
This is where you're going to work.
No, advocate for yourself and move on now.
So I have a question. So in high school, we had meetings with VR. So if that's the only way to get to you, right? They're like the door.
Yep.
So why wouldn't I'm just asking a hypothetical question. Like they met with us for several months and never had any work stuff with Zachary, right? He was just pacing around the room and they were talking to me. But they never even mentioned the work, you know what I'm saying, SWI or anything like that. And so I think two things then. That's very irritating to me.
Yes.
Because if you have to try 3 jobs, right, like you're saying, before you can whatever.
You have to fail before you're allowed to work.
I mean, they failed him before you even tried.
Right.
So that's a little bit awful.
That's one irritation.
Yeah, don't like that. But then the other thing is no one even in the school, you'd think when you start those transition meetings at 16, I had said before in a podcast, I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to have a renewed spirit here and we're actually going to take some action. And that did not occur. It was just kind of like words on a sheet, and no one was trying really hard, probably, or cared what Zachary was going to be doing after he graduated. But we were told, I think it was sure a parent that said something about a workshop, but I guess I was confused even in the counties. I didn't know that you could live in our area, which is not the same county that SWI is in. I didn't even know you could cross county boundaries to go.
Can, but
right?
there is a workshop in Nixa. There's
Yes.
I had heard from
CC
Christian Links.
CC Links.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
But he could go to the workshop if he wanted to.
SWI.
SWI.
Yes.
Yes.
But even still, how would you do, like, if you've already exhausted, I'm just saying for anyone listening, like, if you've exhausted the voc rehab thing and they didn't want to help you and he's not yet 25, then what would be how would you
Well, actually, that's how he
navigate
that's
that?
how he gets the failure if they don't want to work with him anymore. They should be happy to sign the thing for him.
So we would have to, like, contact them again and say, hey, remember us? You didn't help us at all.
Yeah, or you could always
We need a referral.
Yeah, you could always bring him in for a tour and visit and talk to Josh, who Josh Roberts is kind of our first. He's the front door guy when you get at SWI, and he does the tours and he walks you through the day you start. So, like, he does all that paperwork with you and helps you, and that's a new position that we created just because nobody knows. So we figured we needed somebody up there, and Josh was a para. So he's wonderful, and he's wonderful with the guys when they come in, and I love seeing him out there in the afternoon. I mean, we have a transportation program through Oates. We partner with Oates, and
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So anyway, you can always just come in and we'll help you.
Okay, so you had a case manager.
But
so
here
did
it's Alicia Letts. You call it the Springfield office.
But she's wondering why she was never referred and
Well,
given that.
I think the school.
or even your case manager didn't tell you about it.
Well,
Correct.
so, and yeah.
Well, it's considered a failure through VR to come to the workshop because you're not working in competitive.
But I think
integrated.
what's interesting, though, is
Okay,
I think
that's an important fact. So they don't want to refer you because
I
it's
think
a failure.
this time frame for parents of kids with disabilities is very stressful because everyone's in it's just a dead panic about what they're going to do. And it seems to me that it would be a nice addition to transition meetings to even schedule tours with families at SWI and those places.
I know Republic brought a bunch of parents.
Because there's not a mental model that
I don't think they all do.
dare I say, always positive because
Agree.
of things that you hear or just
Agree.
You know what I mean? So it would be nice to like the parent you discussed.
And it isn't for everyone. There's going to be people who are going to come in and walk through there, and the parents, hey, that's your child. You love them more than anyone. So if they have a bad experience and they didn't like it there, and they didn't like their supervisor, and it was too cold and too many bells, you're not going to, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So there are people who have the negative, but for the most part, just come and tour and meet our staff and our crew and get to know and walk around. And if it's your son you're talking about, your son likes it and he'll want to be there, he can. We start people at 1 day a week, 2 days a week.
I was going to ask about schedules.
We
Do
bump
they
them to
work,
5. You can work 5 days a week. We usually start everybody at 2 just to get them used to the.
like all
acclimated.
day? Do they work 8 hours?
No, we work at the
A 4-hour
most. It's
shift?
almost a 6-hour day.
Okay.
It's 5 point. I'm terrible because I don't do time clock stuff.
Yeah.
But we have you come to work, we start work at 10 after 8. You'll have a 20-minute break in the morning. You'll have a 40-minute lunch. And then we're out for the day at 3. And you really stop between 2:33 time and get stuff. So it's not a hectic pace at all.
Right, it's not.
Very similar to a school day.
Yeah, in a very good environment. And I think I'm going to go back to why you weren't told about it. And I like the tour idea. And I'm just going to be devil's advocate because,
Do it.
not enough people are not being referred to the workshop.
And it's pissing us off.
It is.
Yeah.
Service coordinator, if you're out there, and I know
I think they're overwhelmed and they have you guys. I
No,
know.
don't make excuses. Don't make sorry. I'm here playing.
But some of them have 50 or 60
excuses.
people and they've worked there 2 months. I mean, they just.
No, there's been a lot of turnover, certainly.
Yes, there
Since
has.
probably before the pandemic.
Their jobs are to know what's out in the community, what would be best for that person.
That's correct.
And they're not referring them.
Yes.
Not,
Because this isn't a
or they're
hidden
not
secret.
telling them about
yes.
it.
It's not a secret.
Yeah, this isn't one of these abstract things that apply once in a while. But it's
It happens. And I'm going to tell you this story because I was recently, a mother was referred to me. I didn't know her from Adam. And she called me and wanted to know about the workshop. And she just had a few questions. And we got to talking, and then we ended that conversation. She called me back. She had another question and really liked her. And she actually asked me point blank. She goes, why do I not know about this?
Yeah.
Why didn't special ed teachers tell me? Why haven't my service coordinators told me about this? What? And I thought, oh boy, okay. And I said, sometimes it's a money issue. They're not like folk rehab. I don't think it's paid to refer. Like, right?
No.
They don't.
Yeah.
No.
And if
and
you're,
I'm not
if you
saying
do
it's all
supported employment, we're considered a failure for supported employment.
right.
Because it's successful is like Walmart or, the feed store or,
Right.
And you've had VR on, you understand that.
Yeah, but I think her point was, and I was actually very happy with her, and she got it. She said, and I told her about the piece rate, which we're also going to talk about, that they don't get paid minimum wage right off the bat. And I said, some service coordinators, some different places may not think it's appropriate for your son to work there. They think he should work in the community. And she goes,
But it should be a
"But it's-"
choice.
She said, but that's my choice. And that's his choice. So they cannot decide for me what they're going to tell me where to go. They should tell me everywhere to go.
have all
And
the
then we decide. And she goes, she was so angry. And I was like, wow. I was kind of, she said that they should be telling me where to go. And I guess it really irritated me too that I didn't have the choice back in the day, because I think my son really would have benefited by working there to start with to make him more successful in the community. And yes, he does work in the community, but it has not been an easy road to this day, even last week. But he is doing great. And I don't mean to say that, but it's just, that's just always in the back of my head. Like if he would have started out there, I wonder how much
to
that
build
would have
the
helped
foundation.
him.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place. And I just am going to voice this opinion. Shame on you if you are supporting someone with a disability as your job and you're not giving a tour of the workshop and you're not even letting them know it's out there. And that child with a disability like Dawn JR was just volunteering or sitting at home.
Right.
I don't respect that.
Well, you've
at
said
all.
you've said in the past that, I'm sorry, I saw your finger go up, but I was about ready to interrupt anyways. You've said in the past that they should start at the workshop and then go on to
100%.
those
If they
rehab.
wanted
I think
to.
that's what-
Yeah.
which sets people up for success.
Correct.
At SWI.
But service coordinators
not
no one
just
is letting them know that.
because my child goes out. He was in voc rehab. This is his second time. Failed. So he doesn't want to try anything else.
Right.
Why not set him up for success the first time, so then he could then go out into the competitive market and be successful.
Right.
And it's frustrating.
That's why how
it's
strongly.
like backwards. It's like backwards.
It really is.
It's
And-
backwards.
Yeah, and the service coordinators, okay, are they required when they get this job to go to our tour at SWI?
No, not to my knowledge. No,
That's
they
just
aren't.
stupid. They need to know what's out there to better educate the families and the individuals in the community.
Yeah.
It
And
just
we're not
doesn't
putting
make
you on the
sense.
spot, Val. We know that I love a lot
We
of
have
the
a
service-
wonderful partnership with
Yes,
Abilities
no, and I'm
First.
not
They
even-
fund a lot of our
I'm talking about
programs.
anybody.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Like other, not just Abilities First.
I
love
think they're
Abilities
trying.
First.
I think
Yes.
they're trying to change things in Greene County. I know they're working there.
Well,
with it
actually,
right now.
with
They've got new
Abilities First
leadership,
recently,
so-
it's gotten a lot better.
Yes,
And
exactly.
there have been a couple of referrals there. And I'm not just saying
But they
I
have-
love Abilities First.
They
I'm
are
talking about-
they've been working very hard to get fully
Yes.
staffed. So
I'm
that's
talking
part
about
of it,
other
too.
employment
But
agencies
yeah, I hear
as
you.
well.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
parents know, though, I guess because we had a fairly new coordinator in the last couple of years, and she said, I'm new. Let's figure this out together. But I knew I had things that I wanted researched, and she helped me do that, and we worked together. But if I don't know, and she doesn't know either, then we're never going to figure it out. So, I mean, to me, just some basic foundational education that maybe I could have received from school staff that has kids coming in every year doing these, and I'm using air quotes, transition meetings. They should be more fruitful with information so that we can reach out to our person in the state. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be all of them to figure it out. But I would expect if I had the kernel of thought, like, can we travel down this road? I'm sure our current one would certainly take us on a, get that figured out and take us on a tour. But I mean, I think we were told too that he needed help toileting and that no one would let him come anyway. So and maybe that's why they just shut the door and kicked
unless
us out.
he had someone that could take him to the bathroom.
Yes, but if he could have an aide to come
Yes.
by.
I just retired. So I'm his 24/7
He
caregiver.
could figure it out and get a buddy too. You know, that's one of those things that over time, sometimes the peer thing helps a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
it does.
I will tell you, there's people who the family will bring and be encouraged and be like, "There's just no way," and then they'll work with us and I'll be like, "Wait, she did what?" Or I see people who work with me who I happen to get that personal plan. And if you're in 24-hour care, you have a thing called a personal plan, and it guides all your services for the year. And this woman is a 1 to 3 and has like $300,000 worth of services. And she comes to work and navigates 1 to 50 all day long. Actually, she's one of 169. She's not inappropriate at all. She's not running off. She's not leaping on any men. Like, everything's fine.
Oh,
so it's that, you know, when your son would go to school, when your kids would go to school, and the teacher, and you'd say, they did not. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
It's a very similar, and when you're learning to work, sometimes being in an environment with other people who look like you and are kind of like you takes a lot of the stress off.
Right.
And to speak to our payment mechanism, not many businesses can pay someone minimum wage to not produce.
Correct.
And that's why it doesn't work.
That's right.
We can pay them what they do. And when they make a lot of money, they
business
should
decision.
go. They should move when they do they should be looking for another job.
But bottom
that's
line,
the point is
SWI.
coming up. Yeah.
Bottom line, SWI is a business.
Yes.
And you can't pay, you were talking about, and I think in the past, workshops have gotten a really bad rap. But when you look at it, if you can only stuff 5 eggs in 5 hours, you're going to get paid for that. You can't pay 5 hours a minimum wage for 5 eggs.
Correct.
You'll go out of business.
That's right.
Correct.
That's exactly right.
And that's the thing is we don't have production minimums. So people who everyone says can't be successful can be considered successful. And you know what? After a couple of years, they might just actually bump up on their own and actually learn to become, if you can become monetarily motivated at all, and you learn that the more cans I've lifted and turned means more money, and that means more video games, or that means more extra stuff at church, or whatever I do with my money, you're going to get it.
Right.
And a delay is a delay is a delay. It makes me crazy. Our guys have a delay. So just because they're 18 doesn't mean they got it yet. They might not get it till they're 31. Doesn't mean they won't get it when
That's
they're
right.
30. You know, we have people who came in we never thought would do anything that are practically running the place. So, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Growth.
Yeah, good growth. But back to Heather's point, if Heather's son got a job at SWI 2 days a week, but he needs help toileting, she could bring in her own aide or herself to help him go to the bathroom. He could still work there,
Yep.
which that was not really told to you upon graduation, right?
And
So-
he could wear something, and then they could come in and help him change or whatever too.
Okay.
You know, you can
If that was
you can wear whatever you need, hygiene wise.
Okay.
And the toilets are, you know, we have handicap accept. They're huge rooms.
Yeah, they
you
are.
know, I mean, we have a separate I want to call it like a med room. We don't do meds or anything like that. But back in the day, we called it the sick room. We'd have a cot in there. But anyway, we have a quiet room. They could go in there and get changed. They can do if it's a man, he could go in one of the big stalls with them and help him get changed. We have lockers. Everyone has a locker, like a lot of
that's right. I
workplaces.
forgot about the
Yeah,
lockers.
you have
Yeah, they all
a
have a
locker.
locker.
You keep a change of clothes and a change of everything with you. Pretty good. And some people just have an accident or whatever and they go home. Some people just change and get back to work. It depends on the person, because for some people that's a big deal and then they got to be done for the day. And some people, water off a duck's back, they're ready to go back.
Right. Let's talk about the transportation, because you tell us what kind of transportation program you have there.
Okay, so we have a partnership with Oates. And so Oates, if you live on the Oates route, and they have very specific routes, and I don't do that program, so I can tell you how it works, but I don't know the parameters, but I believe it's in town. You can come to work, and you have to be working for us, and we're full to the brim right now, so those bus spots fill up fast. But that is escorted transportation, so they will pick Mary up at Mary's house, and she'll come out her door, and they'll pull up to the door and help her in the bus if she needs help, and then they bring her to SWI. And if she needs help from the door to the bus, we get all that taken care of. And then other people, they just need the ride. We also have the city bus, which is the access bus. We sell the tickets we bill you for Oates So we have a little system where we do it, you know, to pay it. We actually pay the lion's share of the oats.
So that, yeah, so you
we
pay
lose
the
a lot
majority
of money
of it.
on oats. We lose a lot of money on that, but some of our people's only way to get
That's
to
another
work.
thing you do.
It's one of those things we do. And then we sell you the city bus ticket if you need the access bus, and that's you have to be visually impaired to use the access bus. So, and that's the one with the lift. And I think it's visual impairment. Isn't it, Kara? You have to have visual impairment for that, because you said your daughter didn't qualify for that one either. You were telling me about the access bus one day.
Yeah, the access bus.
It's one singular
bus.
bus.
It's really hard to get on
It
and
is.
to
It really
get
is.
accepted for that.
It really is. And so we have a few people who use that. And then we have city bus. And we do city bus training. So what we do is, if you are able to navigate the city bus, which I would much rather teach you to fish than to give you a fish dinner, we will teach you to ride the city bus. And how we do it is we will ride with you for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it takes. And then we ride after you. So we follow you. Make sure you get off the right bus. While we're on the bus with you, we're finding the bus buddy. This is your friend. That's your friend. Mm-hmm. No, she's sketchy. Don't talk to her. Talk to her. Kind of those lessons. We actually have had of course, everybody has good, bad, but there have been some wonderful bus drivers in Springfield that a lady who worked for us was, something terrible was happening, and he recognized it. And he said, "You're going to come up here and sit with me." And she then called him her hero forever. And forever, that family kept making sure she was on that bus, because that guy was such a good guy.
Yeah.
So,
And the bus stops, right? You know,
we have our own bus stop.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have your own bus stop through City Utilities, which did
Only
John
Monday
Twitty,
through Friday. John Twitty got
that for us. It starts right there. There's no,
right there.
yeah, it's really
If
nice.
you allow me, I'll tell my bus story. I've already shared it on the podcast. So JR bought a packet of tickets, unbeknownst to me. So, because we live outside city limits, so Oates is not. And
It only goes so far. Oates
right.
bus only goes so far.
My husband has 2 days on, 2 days off at Kraft, and my schedule's kind of sort of flexible. So we were making it do. But there was one day where I couldn't pick him up. And he basically said, "Mom, I'm riding the bus." "No, I don't think that's a good idea, JR. We haven't worked with you on that. But you need to hold off on that." And so if JR sees something that's wrong and people aren't moving fast enough to solve the problem, he just will do something. And that's what he did. He pushed on me and he said, "I'm riding the bus." And okay, JR, you're riding the bus. You have the cell phone. If you get someplace where you don't know where you are, call us, try to, maybe give the phone to somebody that looks trustworthy and tell them where you are so we can pick you up. He got on the bus. He did fine. He went to the transit center on his own. He got to the north side of Springfield. He had to even change buses. Yeah. And so, he pushed us. And so
That's JR for you, for sure.
Yeah.
He's a motivated guy.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a fixer.
I was going to go back to the pay. I think some of the snobbery comes in. People here, "You're taking advantage of a disabled person by paying them sub-minimum wage. How awful." And I think Kara's already addressed that.
It is a business decision. Yeah.
It is. But I think there's some snobbery going on there.
What do
And
you
of course,
mean? What do you mean?
Well, you just hear sheltered workshop sub-minimum wage, and you're thinking somehow this business
The
is
sweatshop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think it's people, yes, I think it's people that have nothing to do with our community. And it's certainly not parents that are saying that, because we have talked about this before.
Some service coordinators are saying that, though, I must say.
Are they?
Oh, they sure are. I've had a couple tell me that they don't really want them to work there because they get the piece right.
Here's the thing. At least I don't think Zachary would be the only person in this type of situation, but going to SWI isn't the main point of it is not money in the beginning.
Correct.
It's about skill building a foundation so that they can eventually whatever. If you can't take those first couple steps, you don't ever get to the end step.
That's right.
So, yeah, I think that, because I've heard that too, or there's other places where they hang clothes and, I'm not going to name just not a workshop issue, but somewhere else, I'm like, I'm not really I'm going to filter all that out and not think about it, because probably the people don't quite understand the situation and how the individual is being helped, or they're working on skills or what their goals are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's certainly probably not to eventually making minimum wage. And it sounds like they have the opportunity to do that there, correct?
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
We have people who make $18-$20 an hour.
Yeah, I mean, they
you
can
go
grow
right
up to
on
that point.
That's right.
Yes, yeah.
That's right.
We don't want people making just enough money not to qualify for benefits.
Right.
Exactly. Well, and that's one of those things
Right.
that we do that probably other businesses wouldn't do. You could lose your Medicaid and your Social Security if you make over, I think it's $15.56 a month right now.
Yeah, and you watch
So if
that.
I get somebody making too much, they'll come into me and then we'll reduce their schedule. Well, if I need you at my counter to work, I can't give you that, and other businesses give you that accommodation. We do all
And
the
they're
time.
not going to care, quite frankly.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
my guys.
Yeah, you guys will have, care about the people.
You were going to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the non-disabled public, the average person out there, doesn't realize how important disability employment is
Right.
for the social aspect of it.
Right.
Okay, you have Special Olympics,
And the learning.
you've got the Tim Tebow prom, you've got Camp Barnabas, and you've got your state assistants. You've got everything you need, right? And you're going, no. We want a job, employment,
We want,
all of those.
we want the ability for our children to be industrious.
Yeah.
Not
Have
to
a
just
purpose.
sit.
A
Yeah.
purposeful, meaningful life.
Yeah.
Reason to get up in the morning is what
Yes.
I tell
Yeah.
Zion.
Yes.
Because, I mean, he finally feels good about himself when he.
Well, it
has a
builds your
job.
self-esteem.
Yeah.
And I think going to work, I mentioned it earlier, you learn so many things by working. You do make friends and you do feel good and you're tired at the end of the day. I can't imagine sitting home all day and
Playing video
yeah,
games?
doing nothing when there's the workshop. Sorry, Dawn.
No,
Yes,
Well,
that
for
was
some
crazy.
people, that's a dream.
Well, I mean, forever. I mean, from never to do anything. I'm just saying that it's just, and that's why I liked it there so much. And that's why I strongly believe in the workshop so much. It's just a wonderful.
I think the other
place
thing
to
we
work.
offer is the acceptance. We had
Yes.
someone who came to work for us. She was working in a doctor's office. And it was nice. And she would, empty trash and say hello to people. And just, they claimed they had all these jobs for her. But, she didn't do, a ton of work. And she wanted to come to the workshop. And she told her mom. And her mom's like, oh, I don't want you working there. You don't need to be at the workshop. And she said, well, why'd you want to work at the workshop? And she looked at her mom and said, no one asks me to go to lunch.
Oh.
When I call in, they don't care.
Right.
It's a different kind of acceptance that we all find that meaningful thing at work, and that's what we want for everyone who works for us, whether it be with us at SWI, whether it be in the garden, whether it be at the kennel, whether it be in our other two businesses, Artisan Elements or Inspired Boutique, or they move on to their next job. You want them to be somewhere where, oh, what do you mean you're not coming into work today? I need you. You want to be needed. You want to, and we all have friends at work and talk to,
Right.
if we've ever worked, hopefully you've made a friend somewhere and had lunch with somebody and taken a break and gone to happy hour and whatever. And that's what a lot of people that will come back to the workshop that are not successful come back to us because nobody ever did that with them. And when they were with us, my God, that place is Peyton Place. It is, the romance, the intrigue, the drama.
I was going to ask that. I was like, let's just say, does she
Okay, Val's going to have to talk about not canoodling at work now. We do that a little bit.
I'm glad you went there because I was going to ask, just like this young lady. I was like, in the doctor's office, is there anybody she can flirt with?
Yeah, right.
And I thought that's always against,
that
it
stuff
could be
goes on
against
there.
policy in some places, but really, where does she have that opportunity? Yeah. So it sounds like she does.
Now listen. For anyone who's worried, really, it's not going on. But there's all sorts of romance going on between the pages and between the lines and walking and talking.
That's human nature.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Whether you have a disability or not.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
And for some of our employees, that's when they're an adult.
Right.
Yeah, you guys aren't there.
Yeah.
They're an adult, whether we think they ever are or not. And there's people who you can't believe are chick magnets or chick magnets. And there's women that you can't believe she's dating that young, cute guy. They know how to work it, baby. So
I love that.
And friendships,
Yes.
people, the workshop's been there, I think, 65 years, 60, a long time. So there's people who have died from there who worked many years with them.
Yes.
And
What was
it's
the
a
oldest
loss.
employee?
Even someone, right now we've got a lady who's 81. She just turned 81 this year.
She wants to keep working.
Yeah. And her sister called me and she
for
goes,
her.
I know one of these days you're going to tell me she has to quit. And she said, I want you to know there's you and there's church. And I said, she can come as long as she can come. We're never going to fire her.
Exactly.
So we've made some accommodations, got her a squishier chair with a little more cushion. She comes a little later and leaves a little earlier, but she's coming to work because
She wants to.
her staff's trying to convince her to retire. She's got taken one day off a week. I'm like, 81.
I mean, right. Right.
You had mentioned some of your programs earlier, but then I've heard about the garden and the mowing program, the kennel. You said
We have a ton. We're
And
open.
then-
It's not open yet, but we're going to open a kennel.
and then also about the transportation program. that
Yes,
was
we
given
have
to
a
you.
program called SWIFT, and that is funded through Abilities First. So people have to have Abilities First case management. And we do Uber-like training. So we take you in the car. I think JR did that a couple times with us, didn't he, at one point to learn?
And do you
I
do
can't
you have to be an employee there
he followed
to
through.
take advantage?
You do not.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Had
He did
Swift
have a couple
rides.
few. Yeah, he had a couple few. And so, we don't have the functionality of the app at this time, but we schedule the meeting. And what it really is can I have Kara alone in the car with a stranger and how will things go? And so for us, the Uber training is picking up and waiting for our person to say, Kara, and for her to not try and approach us for, the safety things you would do if you were using an Uber. Have them say, are you the one calling? Because they will pull right up because your picture's on your, when you use an Uber, they know it's you when they pull up to you because they want to be safe too. So we teach that whole, and then we get you to your location, and then can you navigate? So if I'm dropping you at Dr. John's, can you get in that building yourself or not? Because Uber isn't going to take you in there. So the whole point of that is kind of just a test thing. Can you do it? From there, then we do the bus training. When we do the bus training too, for anyone who has case management, we can teach them how to use the bus again, so that they can be independent and get around town themselves.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
And the garden, what?
The garden program.
The garden program is an inclusive employment program. So those are people who earn, min wage or above.
And that's been around since 2019, I believe. When we
Yes.
started it. Yes.
And we have a high tunnel. So we grow almost year round. I think maybe not January, February, but almost year round. We have dogs that we adopted to eat the varmints.
at least
Because
scare them
we're
away.
very organic. So I scare them away. Yeah, I should say scare them away. Unless you're a bunny, you're in trouble. Yeah. I did catch, I was out watering one day with someone, and Sunny, our dogs are named Sunny and Bunny after our Sunny Bunny.
Easter eggs. Yeah.
And I saw Sunny was throwing something in the air and being all happy, and I realized it was a turtle, and I had to go save a life. But yeah, it was hard to get it out of his mouth.
Yeah.
But that's a program, and it's produce. So what we do is we sell the produce on Wednesdays, and we do a little stuff to grow, but we have bees. We also have bees, and we have a beekeeper in town who harvests the honey for us, and they've grown and grown and grown. We started with 2 little houses, and we have, I think, 4, and they look like condos now. So the bees have done really well. Local honey is the best. It's a great, natural healer for you. And they pretty much feed off our produce. So we don't want any chemicals on it and anything.
That's
and
great.
so we have the produce, we have the heat.
And for inclusion wise, we have a typical person that works there, and then we have 2 people with disabilities, or is it vice versa?
1 typical, 2 people with disabilities, and some others too come in and out. Depends on the season. It's gardening. So when we need a lot of extra help, if other people want to go work.
Right.
And we're always trying to get other people out and recruit for the garden program. But it's hot in Missouri.
Yes.
And humid.
And the workshop is air conditioned again. So a lot of people will like the garden in spring and fall, but not so much.
They
in
don't
the
want to work
summer.
out there anymore.
We kind of have 2 that work in the summer. They're the diehards, and they will also sell on. So then they're selling to the public. And
When and where do you sell?
in our parking lot at SWI 2835 West Bennett. And you can't miss it. It's a bougie looking little garden shed there, and we have signs and people around. And
Shout out to Clever School that built
shout out to Clever FFA that built it years ago when we first opened the program. We had a partnership with them. So yeah, they did it.
That's great.
Did us a great proper.
So is that the same, applying for that program to work in the gardens? Is that the same process?
Yeah, you
as
just work at SWI. So basically, we're not we have programs. We're not a program. We're a place of employment. So you come in and you apply. And then once you're working there, you show interest. And then and we'll go out and the lady who supervises the garden program, she let anybody work there. If you'll garden with her, she'll take you. So you go out and work, and if you like it, she'd hire you. And then you just move to that department.
And then the kennel, you want to talk about that really quick?
We're going to open a kennel if the city ever likes our building. We're waiting for a new
city
septic
approval,
right now.
yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. So it'll be kind of a bougie kennel, about 8-10 dogs. A lot of times when I'm talking to people, what other kind of jobs would you want to do? I hear a lot about babysitting and pets, babysitting and dogs, babysitting and puppies or kittens or whatever. So we thought, well, kind of natural. We have the dogs in the garden. Why don't we try a kennel? So that's what we're going to do. And it won't be doggy daycare. They won't be playing with other dogs. We're not that brave. It'll be, your dog will be in your kennel. I'll be in mine. You'll be, and then in and out and human interaction and people being around, and we'll have music and TVs on them.
Yeah. So some of the people with disabilities will be working there as well as typical employees too.
Artisan elements. We have artisan elements now. So, and it was this product that they use with recycled glass and paper. We don't have that up and running right now just because we're not in that building, because we're still waiting on the whole septic situation. But we have been making candles. We're really working on coming up with our own candle product because we feel like it's something that's fun to produce and pretty easy to sell, store, and market. And we have Sunny Bunny is a great online marketing. I mean, entire business is online. You don't see it in stores. We don't sell. We don't try to even go retail because we couldn't do that. We sell by bulk, like thousands. We sell to cities, churches, really big communities, and that's how we sell over 13 million. So we could start marketing the candles that way. So we're really working on that, and then we're going to begin managing Inspired Boutique. If you know where that is, it was a program of abilities first. Over by Bambino's there, by Galway,
Battlefield and Lone Pine.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're just trying to flip right now because when they closed it, it just wasn't working for them financially, and they had, it was too much not people with disabilities working there, and so they felt they were kind of getting off the. Maggie Rowagan, the executive director at Abilities, first felt it was getting off the rails, so she wanted to rein it back. So it's like ready for summer right now. So we got to flip the entire store because it's fall.
Yeah.
So we're not quite there yet, and we're still working contractually with having a management agreement to run that business. Yeah. So then that's lots of choices. So that's why we opened our Choices not-for-profit organization. To just offer different kinds of employment for people with disabilities and without. I mean, we're all about inclusion and integration.
Well, in fact, a lot of typical, in the summer, a lot of college kids work there.
Yeah, we hire
a typical college kid. And it's just so fun to see them interact with people. It's just so fun. And I think as a parent, for you guys and listeners, I think one of the things when I first started there that touched my heart, you had the Employee Appreciation Day, and we had lunch. And they got to bring their family, which I don't think that happens anymore, but that's okay.
After COVID, we
we got it. But after that, they had a choice to either stay in the area to listen to a DJ and dance, or if it was too loud for them, they could go watch a movie in the conference room, or they could play bingo in the cafeteria. And I'm not kidding. I mean, honestly, brought tears to my eyes because I thought, like, this is what we all have been asking for. There again, I still was just dumbstruck, like, how did I not know about this place? This is just a wonderful environment. And to go back on the cleaning part, it's so clean. I know when I gave my husband a tour, who was in the retail business for 40 years and, in charge of warehouses and all that too, one of the first things I said, well, what do you think? He goes, well, it's pretty clean. And for me, that I was like, well, that's a minor comment. He goes, no, it's very important. He goes, it's very important to have a clean place of employment, and especially in a warehouse factory setting. So kudos to you for that too, because
the staff do
other people he brought in, like people that he used to work for when he brought in for tours, they were very impressed with that too. So it's just a wonderful place. I can't say enough about it. And I'm just so happy to be, helping out there. And we can't forget that we did take over the Marshfield location and the workshop in Monette.
Barry Lawrence.
And so Monette, when we took that over, what was there, like 20 employees, and now there's 60. We've upped that.
20. And if you wore your coat outside, you wore your coat all day at work. They had no heat, no climate control.
Right.
They had the windows were painted over because, who wants to see our guys at work? Mm-hmm. So one of the first things we did, and, you almost want to cry every time you tell the story, we had this company come And the guy came and he broke the first window, and the employees that could stood up. They were all cheering.
They're all clapping.
They couldn't believe they could look outside while they were at work.
It's like night and day.
And so Mary's decorated there as well. Mary's decorated there as well. And they had a break room that they called a cafeteria, but there was nowhere to wash your hands. You had to go to the other end to where the bathroom was. Like, I about lost my mind because I'm a spaz about things like that. And I'm like, this is not a cafeteria. It's a break room. So it's now a cafeteria, and there's 2 like kitchens set up so we can be working on skills. Scott Tech Center has come in, and they're doing a transition program there. And, that's how the
really great.
Population has increased so much there. And now they have oats buses there.
Oh, do they have oats?
They have oats, and so does Marshfield.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good.
So I know you said like the getting in on the.
Sorry, Dawn.
She always raises her hand
Dawn
right
raises
as you
her
go to
hand
talk.
and then you talk. It's funny.
Thank you, Dawn.
Elizabeth can't see me.
Sorry,
all
listeners.
good.
I know you said, like you work with the schedules, 1 day a week, 2 days a week, or I guess you start at 2 up to 5. What about vacation?
After you get a week paid vacation, and after 10 years, you get 2 weeks paid vacation. And if you need time off to go to the doctor, have meetings, counseling, whatever, that's fine. With the accommodation we make.
Okay. What if you your family like goes to Disney World twice a year? just saying.
It will be an unpaid vacation.
But
other than that,
it's still okay to.
Well, that's why you work at SWI. So there's good and bad, right? So I might not make as much money right away or do anything, but I've got all this leeway to get all this other stuff figured out. And if my priority in life is my family time, and we have a guy whose family bought a home in Florida with a pool, and he loves to swim. And so, she came in and she's like, we're going to want to take him out sometimes a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time. And I'm like, yeah, makes me happy. You go for it. I mean,
that's great.
It's fine.
Which couldn't happen in a regular job all the time.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
So, Dawn, I'm sorry we keep.
No problem.
Dawn's raising her hand for the 5th time. Go ahead, Dawn.
Being polite.
I was going to ask about behaviors. How do you handle behaviors? Because this is an autism podcast.
Yep.
And maybe out of all the developmental disabilities, we might get the most rambunctious. And you've already mentioned the sound, the bells and that. There'd be some.
We have some people who wear their headphones all day, where whatever they need, we try to do. But they have to be able to function there, because if you're screaming and freaking out all day, you're scaring everybody else who doesn't have that issue.
Right.
So we just do the best we can to put you, if you need, we try and work, I have some people there who have autism who you wouldn't think could function at all. And one guy's a min-wage guy and practically a lead worker. He figured it out. But it's little by little having the same supervisor, being in the same area, having those same sounds, smells, sights, people around you. Okay, she's overstimulating. Let's go over here. So we do what we can. And usually over time, they figure it out. We've had, and if you have a meltdown, you got to go home. I mean, that's just it. If you're going to yell and scream and call everybody names and lay on the floor, you're going home that day. Not putting up with that, but it's a natural consequence.
Right.
A natural consequence of that behavior is going home, and behavior is communication. So you keep doing it. I don't like this environment and I shouldn't be working here. So if you need any kind of accommodation and then you'll settle down and have a good day, we'll keep making it. We've had people who've had, we're all weird. So whatever things, and we just keep trying. We'll just keep trying. If you want to work and you want to keep coming to work, we'll find a way to help you figure it out.
And about behaviors too, about people that you've actually fired. There's not very many people that have been. There's been
I fired one guy for would not stop putting his hands on women in a way that he shouldn't put his hands on women, and you can't do that in any world, not even ours.
Right.
And
but there's not very many.
One guy who just leapt up and started whooping up on a guy who was sitting at the table at lunch. And no one, even all his peers around him, were like, I don't even know why he did that. Like, he just got up and wailed.
Yeah.
Well, that's, he could be arrested for that. He's a grown man. You can't,
Right.
That's violence.
Right.
We have zero.
So just a couple people you've let go.
Oh, yeah.
Over the
We
years.
really,
It's not,
I always say I never fire anybody.
Right.
When you choose to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You said, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And again, that's not a failure. It's just a lesson learned.
Right. Dawn.
One other question.
That's okay. I didn't want to forget you.
Yeah. How do you want the general public to support you? Because as you look around this group, don't look at me, but there are others here who have business contacts, who have other connections in the community that could be of support to SWI. So how can we best help SWI in its
First
mission?
of all, always spread the word and let people know that we exist, and encourage them to come and tour and see SWI and see us in action and see the
Tours are
environment and get comfortable and understand what the place is. That's always very big. And if they have work and they feel they're running some kind of business and you know what, you need fulfillment, in Marshfield, we have a really good fulfillment department. They work a lot for Amazon. They do a lot for Chewy. They do, and it is run by a man who had been an employee with a disability, who now runs the department.
That's
and
right.
has 2 people who work for him, and he's staff now.
Yes.
We've done that as often as we could. We've turned, I think, 6 or 7 people that started off piece rate who are now staff with full benefits. They don't get. This man had a terrible accident, so he's still getting his Medicaid. But yeah.
Can I ask a question about how is it funded?
Sure. We receive through the Department of Education and Secondary Education, DESE. So there's a Department of Sheltered Workshops.
Okay.
And so we receive $21 a day for everyone who works there.
Okay.
Most of those people are going to earn more than that in their pay every day, but we do receive that. And then Abilities First is our next big funder. Greene County SB40. SB40 boards were called sheltered boards. They were set up to fund workshops. But then they became such juggernauts in tax levy that they were able to move out and fund lots of things. So we've got a wonderful relationship with ours, and they believe in inclusive employment, and they've done a great job in expanding our programs. And so they're our other big funder, and they help fund programs at SWI and salaries that way. And then the rest is through work.
Okay.
So McCormick is a big customer. Sunny Bunny Easter eggs. Do you remember what we made with Sunny Bunny last year?
Oh my gosh, I should have brought
A couple million.
$2 million. Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful company.
And then we have Springfield Workshop Foundation as our fundraising board. And so when you're running a workshop, some workshops they don't understand. It's hard to do a not-for-profit. You got to be your not-for-profit, but you also got to be a business, because if you don't make enough money to pay bills, you can't do the mission. So we were blessed with a very forward-thinking general manager who said we should start a foundation that is a different not-for-profit that raises money to help the workshop. So when SWI is tight on bills, the foundation's there.
Okay.
So that's what that's for. And then the foundation built the cafeteria, and the foundation, when I've got an employee who's having some type of an issue, I'll go, with my hat in my hand to Dave, and can I just give her $550 in peer utility bills? Whatever it is we're doing to help someone, that's the foundation.
Okay.
So-
And I know you guys have a fundraiser coming up. This will probably be aired after the
Denim and Diamonds.
after it, but we'll shout it out for next year. And does that go to the foundation?
Yes, it benefits
That's
SWI
our
Foundation.
biggest fundraiser. And then after that is our other biggest fundraiser, is the 25th Annual Associated Electric Golf Tournament at Hickory Hills on October 7th.
Yeah, Associated Electric is a big supporter.
Yeah, so those 2 are big ones. And then we have another little one in the spring called
The Derby.
The spring.
Yeah,
Small
one.
Derby. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Great.
I can't say enough about the workshop. And you guys do a wonderful job, Valerie Gustin and Dave Dunn, and all your staff are so nice.
Thank you, Mary, and all of the board members.
Well, they're just, I don't know. I just wish I would have known about it earlier, but I'm happy to be affiliated with it. And I just think it's just such a good answer for people with disabilities to work and start their life. That they don't have to end up there, but they do. There's lots of people that work there all their life.
We've got a
and
guy who's
love
been
it.
there for like 55 years. We've got a man who's been there a really long time. And then people who come in and out as their career needs them. You're in a valley, you come in, you start climbing back up, you get back out. We call them frequent flyers.
Frequent flyers.
Just need to get a little poof and remember that they're cool and they can do it. And then they get back out. And then we have some people who just work for a while and then move on to success and never come back. They're highly successful.
Right, exactly. And it's a happy place too. Like when you're given the tour, they just love to see people and talk to them. So do you know your phone number in the office by chance? You want to give, if anyone has any questions or wants to call?
417-866-2339. And if you're looking for employment, you're going to ask for Josh Robertson. He's going to talk you through the process.
He is. Okay,
So do
great.
you need an appointment for a tour, or can you just show up there for a tour?
Well, just because we get kind of busy at different, I'd rather have you not come like during lunchtime or break. It's more fun to see when people are working. You don't have to have an appointment though. If you stop by in the morning, you could get a tour.
Yeah.
And if you come at 3, you're not getting out of the parking lot. I'm just going to tell you right now.
It's kind of like the car line
Yes,
at schools. You don't want to.
Only we have Oats buses too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know sometimes I've been there. You're like, Mary, you better go before everyone. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I better go for it. But yes, well, I can't thank you enough for being
Thank
here.
you all
know how
very
much I
much.
love the workshop, and thank you for being on the podcast, and thank you to my podcast partners here that
Thank you all
wanted
for
to
being
have
so
the workshop
welcoming. I
on here.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, thank you, Tara. Where can everybody find us?
Oh my gosh, we haven't recorded for so long. I'm gonna.
Well, I do have the card. I can.
Yeah, maybe I should. Okay, so we have a Facebook and Instagram page. It's Navigating Adult Autism Podcast, and we have our website, which is navigatingadultautism.com, where you can learn about who we all are, and hopefully we'll have the autism gossip Dawn's thing on it soon. And you can email us at moms@navigatingadultautism.com.
That's right. Thank you. Make sure you follow us.
Thank you.
Follow us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.